Thanks very much, Ben. Brian Jones there, who's made a visit up to the commentary box. But the Caterham race is underway then for the final time today, and it looks like a very good start from pole position for Tsuruta, and a great start again from fourth on the grid for Mike Evans. Goes to the inside of Chris Hutchinson to try and snatch second place away. He does so. Hutchinson will try and get a switch back on the run up the hill. They're all safely through Paddock Hill Bend though, and up towards the right-hander at Druids. Looks like William Smith is in fourth place, and then it all gets very, very congested on the apex. And who's that coming round the outside in the yellow machine? Is it Dan Gore? Yes, Dan Gore I think has got third place. He started in fifth. He was about sixth going into Druids, found some space around the outside and moved his way right through into the third position. So Tsuruta leads with a bit of a gap back now to Evans, Gore and Hutchinson, the top four. Fifth position then is William Smith, and then another gap back to in sixth place possibly Christina Maiden. Wait to see how that one all works out over the the next couple of laps then. But the race leader really already getting away here, Tsuruta. The battle is not for second place though, and it's an inspired Dan Gore who gets up the inside of Mike Evans for second place into Paddock Hill Bend. He's late enough on the brakes I think to get to the apex first, and yes, the first of the two yellow and black machines moves ahead into second. Evans fights back on the inside, and to the outside comes Chris Hutchinson. They're three abreast into Druids, and the two yellow cars very helpfully have got themselves together. It is Gore ahead with Hutchinson slotting into third with Evans in behind in fourth.
And Timothy Dickens looking to dart through and snatch that fourth place away from Mike Evans. So Timothy Dickens, the black car, gains the place as at the front of the field Christian Tsuruta making an early bid for freedom. Of course, this is Caterham Racing. The guys in the ITC Compliance Caterham Supersport Championship are right at the top of their game as the race leader Tsuruta comes through to conclude the second lap of the race in second place, weaving around is the 20 car of Gore. Then it's Hutchinson. It's Hutchinson who looks to dart to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to try and force this here, Chris Hutchinson, and he squeezes past Dan Gore. The two yellow cars, it's like a swarm of bees climbing up towards Druids, and Timothy Dickens launches to the inside as well. Somehow they made it through. And actually, no change in the order. Hutchinson got that second place. Dan Gore slips to third. Timothy Dickens holds on in fourth.
And it's Mike Evans who's lost out. Car number 14 with a 10-second penalty. That is the car that's running towards the back anyway. Number 14 is Richard Osgerby. Started 14th. He was out of position at the start, so he's been given a 10-second time penalty. All of this battling for second place is rather allowing Christian Tsuruta to pull away. He was 1 second clear at the end of the first lap. I'd say it's about the same this time. However, rather than when it's two cars escaping from the rest, this won't panic the rest of the field too much, because one car on its own shouldn't be as quick as a pack working together. Of course, they're not working together because they're side by side again, with Dan Gore around the outside of Chris Hutchinson into Paddock Hill Bend. But it's Chris who sees off the challenge for the time being, with Dickens in fourth and Mike Evans still there in fifth.
But running wide then was Chris Hutchinson. That opens the door to Dan Gore momentarily into Druids, but they all make it through more or less in the order in which they arrived. Timothy Dickens, who is looking the most aggressive at the moment, I have to say, with then Mike Evans just waiting to see how some of this unfolds in front. Hutchinson is defending from Dan Gore as they slide through. Surtees Evans runs very wide, and Richard Nordhoff should sneak through, and indeed he does. And that was very straightforward for Richard Nordhoff. A slight mistake from Mike Evans. Timothy Dickens winding up for another crack at Dan Gore and Chris Hutchinson along the Braddon Straight. They're going to be helped here by Chris Hutchinson having made a slight mistake at Clark Curve. He ran wider than he would have wanted to. It allows Gore to draw alongside. Dickens looks for a hole in the air. There isn't one that's forthcoming, but then he ducks to the inside line through Paddock Hill Bend, tries to get the switch back. The same goes for Dan Gore. Hutchinson squeezes Gore, but Gore's going to make this. No, he's not. And Hutchinson just holds on to second.
Yeah, Mike Evans meanwhile got back past Richard Nordhoff behind. That's the green car past the blue and orange Gulfest liveried car. And Richard Nordhoff has the fastest lap of the race as well, which he set a lap or so ago. Back down through Graham Hill Bend. The lead gap is now creeping out ever further to a second and a half. They don't want to let Christian Tsuruta get too far ahead. They're also conscious though of the fact this is a half-hour race. We still have more than 25 minutes to go. There is time in this one to catch him once they do settle down and get themselves into some sort of an order. So back towards they come then. 7 cars fighting for second place, all the way down to the 8th place man, car number 27, which is William Smith. Side by side again for second place though, as Gore goes to the outside of Hutchinson, had his nose ahead of the line, gets his whole car ahead by the time they arrive at Paddock Hill Bend. Then it is Dickens in 4th and Evans now in 5th place with the fastest lap.
while Christian Tsuruta, his lead came down a fraction last time around, but it's still reasonably comfortable. But then we are in the early stages. Gore and Hutchinson, if they fight with each other and switch positions, as long as they don't defend too much, they're still effectively working together. And I think the spoilers here are Timothy Dickens and Mike Evans, both of whom seem inclined to fight for position every single turn. Then we've got Northoff, the Sky Blue car number 4, in 6th. In 7th place is Andrew West, that's the white car number 3. And the last car in that train is William Smith, who in the dim and distant past yesterday was on pole position for the first race of the weekend, having absolutely dominated a sodden qualifying. It's Mike Evans who's the fastest on the approach paddock this time round, ducks out to the inside of Timothy Dickens. Dickens moves across and shoots at Evans, who slips a little bit sideways and possibly leaves himself open to challenge from Northoff. However, the key here at front of the field is Gore and Hutchinson working together, almost half Tsuruta's lead.
Yeah, they're working together. They were side-by-side in the that time. It didn't hold them up too much. Change in the offing here at the back of that lead group, though, as William Smith gets up the inside of Andrew West through Graham Hill Bend. Doesn't quite get the move made through the corner, but I think as they arrive at Surtees, he is now ahead. So we are really seeing them bunch together now nicely at the head of the field then. Lead gap was 3/4 of a second. I'd say it's near a half a second or so now between Christian Tsuruta and Dan Gore. Across the line then, no challenge in the top 3 places. 4th place could change hands though, because Timothy Dickens is very much watching his mirror and seeing that Mike Evans is there, and Mike Evans launches another attack up the inside, but once again he's a bit too far back. Now we saw in some of the earlier races that actually the best way to pass at Paddock Hill Bend was to go right around the outside and carry the momentum. In these slightly more powerful Supersport cars though, it seems that they're going for the more traditional late braking move at the inside.
Still think the outside line is working. It's certainly working for Timothy Dickens. It's more that Mike Evans is frustrated trying to get through, but now the race leader, the white car of Christian Tsuruta, has been caught by Dan Gore in 2nd place. Gore you can pick out from Chris Hutchinson because he's got a black nose cone and black wheel arches. He is now going to make Christian Tsuruta really work for it. Tsuruta hugs the middle of the road as they go through the clearways, and now the road falls away into Clark Curve onto the Bradman Straight, which of course isn't straight at all. It's a long, never-ending right-hand curve as they then move along into the 9th lap of the race, and Gore gets his nose in front, and Gore takes the lead, and Tsuruta, very smart driving there from Christian Tsuruta. He didn't fight it with Dan Gore. He's just content to be in the leading pack for the moment. See how it unfolds as Timothy Dickens thought about jumping inside Chris Hutchinson's Druid. Well, that would be such a good idea, so he stays in 4th, Hutchinson 3rd, Tsuruta 2nd, Dan Gore and new race leader.
Yep, so 6 cars for the lead then. They're just dropping Smith and Andrew West, aren't they, who are being caught in turn by the number 5 machine. Number 5 is Lucy Redding, who's having a really good run into 9th position, to the top 10. Leaders though up at Clark Curve. Now what will Tsuruta do with the slipstream this time? I say he's a little bit further back from Gore than Gore was from him a lap ago. Instead, Christian will have to watch behind him because here comes Chris Hutchinson and he's bringing Timothy Dickens with him. This could get entertaining at Paddock Hill Bend. They do close in on Dan Gore though. Tsuruta goes to the outside, Hutchinson peeked to the inside, and Christian Tsuruta so late on the brakes and managed to, he did that very late in the straight. He was so far back coming onto the front straight. He was late on the brakes into Paddock Hill Bend. It perhaps slows him down on the exit of the corner though, because he's a bit sluggish up the hill, and Dan Gore goes straight back through on the inside of Druids.
I'd also describe that as an early race move. I don't think he'd get away with that in the final 10 minutes because Dan Gore was, once he saw Tsuruta was coming, was prepared just to give him the room. Timothy Dickens is the wild card here because he is appreciably more aggressive than those around him. He's just elbowed himself up into 4th position, which he might not hold for too long because Chris Hutchinson darts the inside back of Clark Curve, and hopefully, for the sake of the race, that's not slowed either of them down too much. We've had 9 minutes, by the way, with 21 left on the clock, as Tsuruta lines up for another run at Dan Gore, but Christian Tsuruta glides back in to lead the race, an identical manoeuvre to last time around. Mike Evans and Richard Northoff now also joining in this train at the front of the field, as Chris Hutchinson looks to fight back and succeeds to the inside of Timothy Dickens.
Yeah, great move. Oh, Dickens slides it straight back to the late apex, so gets himself almost alongside Hutchinson as they drop down into Graham Hill Bend, but just the wrong side of the road. He doesn't want to get hung out to dry because Evans, Northoff and William Smith, who's walked back into this, are right there with him. Into Surtees then. this is looking like being perhaps the most frenetic battle for the lead we've had in all of the Caterham races this weekend. We've had plenty of good races to choose from. The right-hander out onto the Bramham straight, and a better run out of the corner this time for Dan Gore, I think, and Christian Tsuruta, if he keeps holding the lead, I'll be very impressed. Holds the inside line, makes Gore work for it round the outside. Gore has his nose ahead at the line, then wheel to wheel into Paddock Hill Bend, and in fact he doesn't go for it. I think sensibly backed out of that one. There was no real need to take the risk, instead carries much more speed out of the corner, and Tsuruta is going to have to leave the door open because Dan Gore was well and truly committed to that. Interestingly, Dan Gore already has been given a warning for not respecting the track limits, and we're only just over 10 minutes into the race, so he has to be careful running out over the curbs through particularly Paddock Hill Bend, Druitt and Graham Hill.
Yeah, that's going to hopefully not be a factor as this race unfolds, and sometimes if you see the warning flag, it's not getting you to think about it a little bit more. The problem being now that a 5-second penalty will pop him down into 9th place, given that we've got this leading group of cars running in very, very close contention. It is 20 Gore then who leads from number 2 Tsuruta, then in 78 Chris Hutchinson, in 4th place is 44 Dickens, 5th is 22 Mike Evans, and 6th and 4 Richard Northoff. That might all change as Mike Evans looks to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. They're almost 3 wide, and it's Mike Evans who gains the place, snatches 4th from Timothy Dickens. Dickens will look to retaliate with immediate effect, climbing up towards Druitt. Oh, that's a little bit tight there. I'm not sure that Mike Evans realised that Dickens was quite as far alongside as he was. He tried to shut the door, just about gave Dickens enough racing room. They're still overlapping with each other into Graham Hill Bend, varying angles of attack, and we're very much as we were, except of course the move has been secured for Mike Evans, and now Richard Northoff and William Smith getting into the mix.
Yeah, and West and Reading. It's 9 cars for the lead now through Clark Curve, and then a country mile ahead of this 5th to 10th place between the number 23 car of Scott Harrison. Then got Christina Maple in there, and number 19 of Doug Christie as well. Leaders back across the line then. 3 just pulling away slightly now. Gore, Tsuruta and Hutchinson. They don't change places for the time being. Mike Evans is busy defending 4th place from Timothy Dickens, who gets the better run out of the corner. Is the man in 3rd place. Chris Hutchinson goes to the inside of Tsuruta, but gets blocked by the similarly liveried car of Dan Gore, and that just means that Tsuruta can fight back around the outside. They're still wheel to wheel. Tsuruta will have the inside line for Graham Hill Bend here, with Hutchinson being hung out to dry. Ducks back into line before the sideways Mike Evans can stick his nose up the inside of the apex of the corner too.
It's great stuff, this, isn't it? And Dan Gore is enjoying, I think, being out front, because some drivers just prefer to take the race from the front. Others like to be in the pack. I think Christian Tsuruta particularly keen on being second in the queue. We are at half race distance, 17.25 minutes remain in the race, and Tsuruta's got the toe this time on Dan Gore as they head towards Paddock Hill Bend. He bursts out of the bubble, swoops around the outside, claims the place. Tsuruta going to move across and comprehensively cover the inside line of Druitt, which he hasn't done on the previous 2 occasions. He's had the lead, doesn't need to on this occasion. Gore wasn't quite quick enough through Paddock. The train closes up and runs downhill into Graham Hill Bend.
Timothy Dickens now 4th ahead of Mike Evans, and that was a good move he made again on the brakes up the inside into Druitt through Surtees, and they're not that far away from Taylor Field. Christian Tsuruta with a bit of a bobble through the left-hander of Surtees that time, but holds on to the race lead. You sense that this could all change again once they come onto the pit straight at the end of the 15th lap of the race then. So it's Tsuruta with the lead, and it's the 2 yellow and black cars behind, with Dan Gore ahead of Chris Hutchinson. Gore goes to the outside. Where does Hutchinson go? He might look to the inside of the pair of them. No, Tsuruta saw that one off, so Gore now has to either back off and let Hutchinson through, or go for it. He chooses the former, and Hutchinson goes into 2nd place, but it slows down Dan Gore. Timothy Dickens now gets the number 44 machine up the inside into Druitt. It's all very, very tight. Mike Evans is not far back either, and then Richard Northoff is side by side with William Smith behind, still side by side for 3rd place, and I think just about Dan Gore managed to hang on.
And Richard Northoff is the driver who loses out from that. He makes the mistake at Graham Hill Bend, bobbles across the curb, drops down to 8th as Dickens and Gore continue this tenacious scrap. Mike Evans and now William Smith all looking to join in as well. Back has enabled is Christian Tsuruta and Chris Hutchinson for the first time in the best part of 10 laps to just open up a little bit of empty asphalt between themselves and the rest, as Gore and Dickens go side by side, make that 3 wide. Mike Evans to the inside line, and Evans may well capitalise here. He leaves it nice and deep on the brakes. Looked for most of Dickens was going to slither sideways. He doesn't. They all make it through Paddock Hill Bend. Evans goes third. Gore should slot into fourth. Dickens into fifth. They're getting in amongst the traffic now. The race leader, Christian Tsuruta, has broken clear with Chris Hutchinson.
In many other championships, this would be recipe for disaster, wouldn't it? But they're so used to this close quarters racing, and they do it so well that they usually do manage to stay off each other and keep it nice and clean through 30s. In amongst the back markers now for the race leaders. It's all getting very tight behind. Timothy Dickens, I think, lost out through the left-hander, and the back marker gets well and truly in the way of Dan Gore in fourth position as they make their way into Clark Curve. That's really allowed the top 3 to escape. Gore and now Smith and West, they all need to really work together now to close in on the top 3. It is still Tsuruta leading the way, Hutchinson second, with Evans now into third, side by side for fourth, and that's William Smith back around the outside of Dan Gore. Will, after a bit of a sluggish start, Ben, is really buying back into this as we hit the halfway mark.
He certainly is. That was just unfortunate. The car that they were lapping went into the pit lane with fairly catastrophic failure. That was Mark Davis in car 70. A little bit more traffic for the leading trio to contend with on the way into Graham Hill Bend. It's Christian Tsuruta again, who seems the most assertive in responding to it. Nick Stevens is the next target, and that's very, very smart drive from Nick. He saw in his mirrors they were all coming, moved out of the way as best he possibly could. That was interrupting the fight for the lead one little bit. Now William Smith, he is well, he's not bringing the man in black with him, Will Smith. He's bringing the man in yellow, Dan Gore. Then it's the man in black, Timothy Dickens, who is next along as they head towards Paddock Hill Bend. Smith darts down, shuts off Dan Gore. Speculative more than anything from Gore. They will look to work together to close up to the leading trio. It is still car 2, Christian Tsuruta, who leads with number 78, Chris Hutchinson. Then we have got number 22, Mike Evans. In third place now, it's 27, William Smith. In fifth place at number 20, Dan Gore. In sixth place, 44, Timothy Dickens. You'd expect to see the winner probably to come from one of those 6. They've been the most prominent group of cars. Still, Tsuruta rails out front.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one, I think, through Clark Curve. They're settling into now 3 trios, aren't they? 3 for the lead, 3 for fourth, and 3 for 7th place. It will all, I'm sure, come back together before too much longer. But Tsuruta, who seems happiest out in front, doesn't he? With Hutchinson, for now, I think, fairly satisfied to sit in second place. Mike Evans is the man who's really looked to be making the moves early on, but now he's with the leaders, maybe content to sit in third place. Up towards Druids, though, here comes the attack for the race lead for Hutchinson, the inside of Christian Tsuruta, who didn't make it too hard. Mike Evans, though, tries to follow him through. No, can't do it. And immediately that gap they'd pulled over William Smith in fourth place disappears. Dan Gore, by the way, down in fifth, just set the fastest lap, 53.405, and he's the next one to try and bridge the gap to the leading 4.
They're going to have to be careful here with track limits. They are quite regularly over at Graham Hill Bend, dropping a couple of wheels off the edge of the curve. It certainly was the case for Chris Hutchinson on that occasion. We've got 12 minutes left in the race. This is the point at which they will start to really start fighting.
As if they weren't already. Here comes Tsuruta around the outside, and Evans makes it 3 abreast for the race lead across the start-finish line. Evans to the outside, Tsuruta in the middle, and Hutchinson on the inside. It's Tsuruta who comes out of that one on top, with Hutchinson settling into second and Evans sensibly in third there. I think William Smith is now alongside him, though, as they go towards Druid. Down the outside goes the white and orange machine of William Smith. If he can hang tough around the outside, he gets the inside for Graham Hill Bend. That was a lovely bit of driving there from Will, and he will move through into a very provisional podium position. Top 6 now all back together then, because Dan Gore and Timothy Dickens have closed back in as a result of the squabbling ahead of them. They make their way through 30s for the 21st time.
What you would say, though, is that Christian Tsuruta and Chris Hutchinson have been the constant presence at the very sharp end of the field. The rest of them have taken their turns really to join that fight. That is starting to become something to note. But William Smith was so quick in the horrifically wet qualifying yesterday, as now Hutchinson looks at the inside of Christian Tsuruta. It feels like possibly a rehearsal of where, and asking the questions, where is Tsuruta strong, where is not so strong. And it's Smith who carries the speed out of Paddock Hill Bend as Hutchinson defends to the inside. Smith looks to the outside, gets his nose in front, continues with the momentum. momentum, still draws alongside, gets squeezed onto the grass a little bit by Chris Hutchinson. The pair of them into Graham Hill Bend. Smith gains the place and sets off in pursuit of Christian Tsuruta. Race leader Mike Evans still there for very much part of the train, as is now the 3 car of West. The West is starting to mix it.
Richard Nordoff's not far back, and neither is the number 5 car of Lucy Redding, so it's once more nearly back to a 9-car train. William Smith certainly has that outside move at Druid sorted, doesn't he? Now going to go to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, though, to attack for the race lead. And he has to be careful not to leave the door open for Hutchinson, though. Cuts it back to the late apex, carries more speed up the hill. Tsuruta needs to defend, can't quite get across in time, though. So William Smith gets to the inside, and we're about to have a new race leader, I think. William Smith goes through, and it's all getting very congested behind. Tsuruta and Hutchinson nearly back wheels, and you've got Dickens and Evans side by side for 4th position. Dickens on the inside, might even attack for 3rd. No, thought better of that one. Evans in the green car, hands tough around the outside, out over the curb. That gives Dan Gore a run at them as well. If they all get through 30s in one piece, it will be very impressive. They just about sorted out with Evans in 4th, Dickens in 5th, and 6th place still Dan Gore. It's just given William Smith and Christian Tsuruta a slight margin out in front. And I'll take your point about Tsuruta and Hutchinson being 2 who have led most laps, but I do think that now Smith's at the front, he's there to stay.
Tsuruta, though, looks to challenge Smith as they head into Paddock Hill Bend, as Evans and Hutchinson almost interlock wheels as well. Down through Paddock and then climbing up towards Druid. Tsuruta looks to the outside of Smith. Behind it's close. Evans goes 3rd from Hutchinson. A bit of wheel banging possibly between West and Gore. And Dan Gore, as this race has unfolded, has steadily slipped down through the order. But William Smith looking very impressive, very steady. Got a warning from car 4. That's Richard Nordoff for not respecting the track limits. In terms of a time check, we've got 8.5 minutes left in the race. We have still got 9 cars with him.
Yeah, this is turning into one epic race, isn't it? And another one, I'm sure, that will come down to the dash to the flag on the final lap. Side by side for 4th place now. Timothy Dickens goes to the outside of Chris Hutchinson, who was leading not that long ago, but he's been shuffled backwards, and now we're going to have to see some real overtaking from Chris if he's going to get back into contention for this one. Christian Tsuruta with a good run out of Paddock. Just asks William Smith to move over to the inside line there and defend the lead into Druid. They're dangerously close to single file at that time through Druid. 9 cars though as one. Look at the cat Pactor, the fight for 10th place, which is now being led by Christina Maple. There's 2 lady races inside the top 10 then as a result. Down into 30s goes William Smith, who certainly seems to have pace to hold on to the lead here, doesn't he? I'm not entirely sure how hard Christian Tsuruta is trying to get past him at this stage, but since he hit the front, he has not lost that lead.
I just wonder if there is merit in Tsuruta and Smith trying to work together, seeing if they can make this a 2-car fight with the win, and hoping that Mike Evans possibly gets involved with Chris Hutchinson and others for that 3rd place. It's not happening at the moment. 7.25 minutes left in the race. We're on lap 26. Climbing out of Paddock Hill Bend up towards Druid. Smith doesn't even have to defend, and Christian Tsuruta, now we're getting to the serious part of the race, is not shadow boxing, he's not going for the moves, he's just watching, waiting, seeing where Smith is good, seeing where he could possibly exploit a weakness. At the moment, he's not finding too many weaknesses in that performance of William Smith. Smith turning into the left-hander of 30s now. The orange and white car leads the way from the black and white car. Then it's the bright green car with Mike Evans. Another lap has been reeled off, another minute has been reeled off. This time around there's been no change in the order.
Well, apart from Andrew West, who got past Dan Gore on the line, and he's slowly but surely moving himself into contention, isn't he? The black and white, the white-black number 3 car, side by side for the lead this time, with Smith on the inside and Christian Tsuruta in the white and fluorescent yellow number 2 car, trying desperately to go around the outside. And the man in 4th place, Chris Hutchinson, gets eased down almost into the dirt, coming out of Paddock Hill Bend there as he tried to get around the outside of Mike Evans. So that gives the top 3 a little bit of a break for all of half a lap, I imagine, until it all compresses back together again into Graham Hill Bend. William Smith, Christian Tsuruta, Mike Evans, the top 3. No change of position at that part of the circuit. We'll come back to the start-finish line, I'm sure that won't be the story.
now comes down to for Christian Tsuruta. Where does he think, if at all, he can make that move on Will Smith? He's good this time around through clearways. He's close to Smith coming out of Clark Curve, and he's going to have a fighting chance here. He wants it to go for the lead into Paddock Hill Bend, because he closes right up to the tail of Smith as the pair of them go across the start and finish line. Tsuruta, his nose was fractionally in front, and he does indeed take the advantage, but crucially he was 11 thousandths of a second clear when they hit the line. And talking to the drivers from the earlier races, they were all rehearsing that move during the laps leading up to the finish in case they need to do it on the last lap. And certainly Christian Tsuruta now knows what he needs to do if he's second going into the final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. That could prove important in about 5 minutes' time, because that's how long is left on the clock for the final race of the weekend for the ITC Compliance Caterham Supersport Championship. Into 30s. Oh, a bit of a lock-up further back. That was Dan Gore, I think, and both of the yellow machines that were running at the front early on, 1-2 briefly. Chris Hutchinson and Dan Gore have both been shuffled back now. Hutchinson to 4th, Gore down into 7th. Was trying to nip at the inside of Andrew West at 30s and snatched a break in his avoidance efforts. Right, what can William Smith do in the turn? Well, he can't get there by the line. He might be able to challenge Tsuruta into Paddock Hill Bend. Can't do it. Overlapping behind as Andrew West continues his march through the order. The next target for him is the black number 44 car and Timothy Dickens. Can't do it into Paddock Hill Bend. Can he do it maybe on the brakes into Druids? The answer to that is no. That Gore leaves the door open to Richard Nordhoff further back, but they all stay in much the same order. It's so difficult when you're in a big group of cars like this, isn't it? Where you're trying to attack the car in front, but you daren't step out of line just in case you get freight trained and lose 5 or 6 places.
It's all going to come down to the last lap, isn't it, really? Particularly William Smith. He knows the aggressive driving style of Mike Evans in 3rd, the green car, which doesn't want to show his hand just yet, in case Evans takes the opportunity to slip through into 2nd place, and that rather will disrupt the game plan. That said, Smith's got a good run this time around on Tsuruta and might try and snatch the lead, but I get the sense that Tsuruta wants to lead this one from the front, and that's exactly what we predicted would happen, because as Smith goes to the high line, Evans looked to the inside, seeing if there was an opportunity to snatch 2nd. Didn't happen. Tsuruta defends into Druids. There's a gap still that Smith has to close. Tsuruta and Smith remain the race leaders. Christian Tsuruta, the way he's driving, he now wants to be at the front of the pack through to the flag, which is just 3 minutes and 20 seconds away. Which is a point made earlier on. I think that's definitely still the case. There is ominously a slower car not that far up the road, which they're likely to catch before the end, but that should be the only one before we get to the conclusion of what has been a thrilling race. Back out of Clark Curve, surely something has to change this time. They're all so closely bunched together as the slipstream starts to take hold. Just under 3 minutes remain on the clock, and here comes William Smith to the outside of Tsuruta, and watch Mike Evans. He's not afraid to make it 3 abreast into Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to try it again round the outside of the pair of them. Smith goes to the lead, but Evans has gone with him and won't go into 1st place, but certainly seconds into 2nd. So Tsuruta loses 2 places. That was not in the game plan. It's then Hutchinson 4th with West 5th and Dan Gore up into 6th place. But Tsuruta's immediately back into 2nd place into Druids, as Evans didn't shut the door quite in time. And in fact, as he slithered wide through Druids, it brought Chris Hutchinson and Andrew West back into the mix. I think Christian Tsuruta will take this as a result. We've got 2 minutes and 20 left on the clock. By the time they get round, we're going to be into penultimate lap time, or are they going to squeeze 3 more out of it? It's going to be touch and go. But for Tsuruta, he knows now that if he's in the right position relative to William Smith, he will be able to out-drag him through to the line, and therefore he can afford to spend the next couple of laps just waiting to turn himself up. Across the line they can't, and it is going to be 3 more laps, just about. Yep, side by side for 4th place. Andrew West goes round the outside of Chris Hutchinson, who clambers the curve through Paddock Hill Bend towards Druids Corner. The top 2 now breaking away slightly. Mike Evans doesn't seem to have the pace to go with them on this particular lap. So 27th Smith to Tsuruta. That's Dan Gore running wide with Timothy Dickens trying to get up the inside of the back marker. Thankfully sees them coming. Well, how could you miss them? And pulls right out of the way on the run down to Graham Hill Bend. So the back marker will not be a factor. And you're right, so this touch and go, we may just squeeze 2 more laps out of this one then. So it's Smith from Tsuruta, then a gap back to the green car of Evans in 3rd. The first of the yellow cars is Chris Hutchinson in 4th place. Then it's the white machine of West in 5th, and the yellow and black car in 6th place is Dan Gore. But then those top 2 have got quite a healthy cushion now. They certainly do, as Tsuruta closes up on to Smith. We are going to get 2 more laps And Tsuruta darts to the inside of William Smith into Paddock Hill Bend, trying to force the opening. That wasn't really going to happen, but it's not cost him any time either, so that is nicely judged. So what we've got really for Christian Tsuruta is probably two more opportunities. It's going to be into Paddock Hill Bend for the last time of asking, as Dan Gore runs very, very wide and drew it, or it's going to be the drag race to the line, which we have seen working very well on a couple of occasions already today.
That mistake for Dan Gore cost him a place, by the way. Timothy Dickens went through into 6th place, and Andrew West went through the gravel at Paddock, but nonetheless is still attacking for 4th place. The spoiler in all of this is Mike Evans, because having shaken off Chris Hutchinson, he's now going after the leading two. He'll catch a whiff of the slipstream this time. They're going to come through and see the last lap board. So, a mile and a half of racing still to go, and I reckon it's down to the top three now then. William Smith leading, Christian Tsuruta is closing in second. Contact for 4th position potentially there as Andrew West goes through around the outside of Chris Hutchinson. But yes, Hutchinson has now lost his rear left wheel arch. Tsuruta quick off Paddock Hill Bend then, starts to force William Smith to defend into Druid, but where does he go for it? Does he go for a move before we get to the last corner, or does he wait for that run to the line? I think with the straight line speed we've seen from both of those cars, a run to the line will be very close.
It will be very, very close, but he pulled it off a couple of laps ago. That said, Tsuruta just kicks it sideways coming out of Graham Hill Bend for the final time. They accelerate towards 30s. It has been an excellent 30 minutes of racing, and who is going to claim victory in the final race of the weekend from the various Caterham Motorsport Championships? Tsuruta is well positioned. Now, that's been a very, very good run through clearways from William Smith, and I think Smith has got enough of an advantage here as they accelerate through to the checkered flag. Tsuruta isn't able to close in, and William Smith takes the win from Christian Tsuruta in second place, and Mike Evans completes the podium with then in 4th place Andrew West, 5th place was Chris Hutchinson, 6th was Timothy Dickens, 7th was Adam Gore, 8th Richard Nordhoff, and 9th place to Lucy Redding. Again, a very, very clean, competitive and enjoyable race from the ITC Compliance Caterham Supersport Championship. We have had one car with a 5-second time penalty, that's Dan Gore. It's made no difference really to his finishing position, just going to drop it from 7th to 9th place. Well, it's exactly a tenth of a second. William Smith's margin of victory, and Christian Tsuruta, it appeared as if he was just a little bit too tight through clearways for the final time, and it meant he couldn't get the power down quite as smoothly as he did about 3 laps ago, and that was enough to give William Smith the advantage through to the flag.